Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the charts behind me. And so here, this is Ticker Request Live. Welcome to it. This is something I try to do every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes I do have other things come up. Last week I did the stream on Tuesday evening, and I might do something like that moving forward just because it's kind of tough to balance this on a systematic, weekly routine because my work schedule changes every week. And so, I just got done with a 3 day work weekend. I'm excited for Monday and Tuesday to start because it's like my Friday tonight. But I'm glad it's Sunday. I'm glad the market's opening tomorrow. And before I do get into the stream, I just want to point out a couple notes. If you do have a ticker to request, make sure you request one at a time just so there's enough time, enough room for me to go over everybody's requests. So, because I can take some time going over one chart, and if you request two, it's tough. And if you request two, I don't know which one's your favorite. So please limit to one. And then once I get through it, if there are no more requests, you can request again. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the big thing. And yeah, and I see John here in the chat. How we doing? Doing good. Just got done with work, and I do have a drink here, so I'll cheers you guys in a second. And I will throw up Snap as I do have time. And I did get two requests from Vaz before the stream started. He's in the UK and had to go to bed. So I will definitely go over his, and so I might go over them together because they're both the eVTOL or whatever they are, the Archer and Joby. So I'll go over those together, and then I will get into Snap. And then I did have this other one, Arbe Robotics, that somebody mentioned on X. So I thought I'd go over that, but I don't have to. So I might leave that one. But before I get into the charts, I hope you guys all had a great weekend. Hopefully, you're not working over the weekend and looking forward to the start of the week with the exciting market tomorrow. I feel like it's going to be maybe a little bit slow because it's a banking holiday. I believe it's Columbus Day. So, like, banks will be closed, but the market's open. Settlement days will be extended, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to not being at work the next couple days and diving into the charts, seeing what's going on when the market opens. But yeah, happy end of the weekend, happy Sunday, and happy start of an exciting week. Cheers, you guys. And so yeah, I will jump into Archer because I've gone over that fairly extensively, get into Joby, and then I'll get into Snap. And so really, like looking at Archer here, I think I put out a video on it and just went over my like trade thesis, which is really just based on this low here from September 26th, which was at a price of $2.82.1. I do have a small position in Archer, I believe 40 shares, and I think my app, I can just pull it up. If you guys are curious, I don't, when I get into new trades, I usually have pretty small positions because I have larger positions like AMC, GameStop, ChargePoint, Luminar, and so it's tough for me to start big positions. So I tend to ease them. Yeah, I've got 40 shares at $2.99. I got a stop loss at 280. So my thesis with this is I don't think price is going to go lower than 280, but if it does, I don't really know where it will be going down to, but I could see it, coming down to the bottom of this wedge. So, I'd want to stop myself out from holding on to that loss. And then I could see it coming down to this uptrend over here that's based on the lows from the end of December. Sorry, yeah, the end of 2022, so the end of December over here, and then this pivot low, it looks like it's the low from April of 2023. Got a nice, bounce there. And so I could see price coming down to that level, which could be bringing it down to 250, somewhere around there. So yeah, I mean, I feel like the company is interesting. I just think that this type of company needs, it's going to need a lot of clearance, a lot of I don't know, like FAA approvals, whatever. And like we can see that SpaceX has been held up by stuff like that. There's just, I think, an article released today about California blocking some of SpaceX's launches. And so something like Archer, I feel like there could definitely be some like roadblocks with that or some holdups. So I think it is fairly speculative. So I mean, for me, if it was to go down to 250, I wouldn't want to hold on to it down that far. I'd want to wait to see that, it's forming a bottom there. So yeah, I mean, I've got my stop loss at 280, like I said. It does look pretty good though that it's above the 21-day moving average, closed above that. I don't typically have the moving averages up here, but I put them up for, I think, my video on Mara. And so, yeah, I just thought I'd leave them up here. Sometimes they can kind of skew the axis, because the 200-day ends up being a lot higher than the stock price. And sorry, I keep itching my eye. I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things where you do that and then you can't stop. But yeah, I mean, it's above the 21-day moving average. So I think that looks good. Friday was up almost 5%. I think it looks good. I do have 290 marked here. I think I dip bought at that level. I, just dollar cost averaging to establish my position. And I mean, we've had a lot of wicks down to that level. The low over here from the 25th was, let's see, 290. So I feel like that's a pretty important level, and it does look like we are, still above this uptrend. So I think that looks good. And, I mean, it could be going up to the 50-day moving average, which is getting up to $3 and about 40 cents. That's more than a 10% move from like $3. So it's about a 10% move from current price. And then the 200-day moving average is up here at 415, which does look like that corresponds with a 50% retracement from this Fibonacci over here. Man, I got to stop rubbing my eye. So yeah, I mean, I could see price getting up there. And one thing, in the Discord, somebody has been like, very repetitively posting about Archer, which is like getting to be the point of spam. And so they're no longer actually in the Discord because of it. But that actually kind of sketches me out when somebody's just like repeat posting something. That makes me feel more skeptical on the position. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm just chilling with my shares. I don't think I plan on adding. Maybe I would if it came down to 290, but it might also just be, I'm going to write out with a small position that I have, see what happens, and maybe I'd exit around 340 or maybe at a 10% swing. For me, I'm just trying to get better at swing trading and not, holding things long term. And that's not to say that if I were to trim at 340 or a 10% swing around 330, that I don't think it would go up to 415. It may very well, but it's like I'd rather stack 10% gains every week than wait for, a 30% swing over the course of like 2 months. So I think this seems like a level that it might be getting to 330, 340, perhaps soon. But if it does get rejected, I think, 280 is the bottom line for me with that. And then I'm just going to say, hey to Nameless, welcome to the stream, and I will definitely add Path up here. Then I'm just going to go over Joby real quick so Vaz doesn't have to go through too much of this to get to it. But yeah, we'll add Path up here, and then I will go over Joby. And so this one, I mean, this kind of reminds me of, I feel like I talk about these a lot, but Rising 3 Methods, where, it's Rising 3 Methods, which is like a big green candle followed by a few down days, and then a big green candle again, suggesting continuation to the upside. Whereas a falling 3 methods would be like a big red candle, a few up days, and then another big red candle suggesting continuation to the downside. And so this kind of reminds me of that with this big green move going up on October 2nd by almost 28%. Consolidating here a little bit, pulling back, and then getting this nice bullish engulfing candle on Friday, going up about 3.64% on the day. So I think that looks really good, but it would be nice, to see maybe tomorrow's close getting back up to around above $6 range, and ideally getting above these closes. Like, so the close for these candles here, the high, I should say, not the close, from October 7th was $6.20. So I think it'd be nice to see a close above 6.20. Really nice to see a close above the high from the second, which was $6.32. But another thing, it might stand out to you, it does look like we have broken above and have pulled back to retesting not only the 21-day moving average, but also the 200-day moving average. But a thing that, might be a little bit concerning about that is, or maybe that's, let's see, what's the golden cross? I don't typically look at the moving averages. So what's the golden cross trading? Oops. So let's just look at this. What is the golden cross? And so that a chart pattern in technical analysis in which the short-term moving average rises above the long-term moving average. And so what we have here, since we did just see this move up, that short-term moving average, the 21-day, is potentially crossing above that 200-day moving average. So if we do see a continuation up in the price tomorrow, I think that we could be seeing a continuation with this price action. But being above the 200-day moving average, like what level might it be going to the upside? And so I could see this downtrend that I had drawn, price really getting back to, like 632, getting up to there, or where this intersection of these trend lines is. That would be getting to around $6.40. So I could see price getting there. And yeah, so I'm just trying to see. Yeah, so I mean, hopefully that's helpful. I mean, I feel like my impression is that right now there's like the eVTOL. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right or if I have like the acronym right for these kind of vehicles, but it seems like there's some, like they've kind of bottomed recently and that they might be going higher. So that's kind of my assessment. But like with Archer, if it's in this downtrend, it's around the middle, it could be getting rejected, from this downtrend here. It looks like it's been having a tough time getting above that midpoint of that channel. So maybe it is about to be rejected and maybe come down to the bottom side of this channel. And so I imagine that would be similar. Whatever happens with Archer, it would be similar with something like Joby. Just with that sector kind of moving in similar ways. So, hopefully that's helpful. But then I am going to switch over to some of the other stocks. So I did get Snap, and then I will go over UiPath, or ticker symbol PATH. But yeah, first looking at Snapchat. I haven't looked at this in a while. I believe I had, let's see. I'm just going to check. This should reflect what was on my phone, but I think I had an alert. I'm just going to set one here just to see. Yeah, so I had one at 1075, it looks like. And I turned it off just because I wasn't planning on getting into a position with it. But let's see, when price was below 1075, why did I have that level marked? I'm not sure exactly because, oh yeah, it's probably just like, gap down here. But why would I have that marked? Let's see, what was the low over here? The low over here, 1008. I'm not sure why I'd have 1075 marked on this. But I mean, what we can see here, let's see, I might actually want to clean this up a little bit because this is probably old news, this retracement here and that level at 160. I mean, maybe that's something that we need to be holding, so I guess I'll leave it up for the time being. But let's see. Yeah, I mean, I like just thinking about like levels to the downside that, I think would definitely be acting as support. So here from the low at 829 and then maybe connecting with the close that was on, what day was that? September 9th, and that close was at a price of $8.53. So I'm just going to lock it into there. Yeah, so that looks good. And And so, I mean, this, I could adjust this trend line to be from the lows over here, but just getting, multiple wicks to that, no closes below that level. And so, maybe price could be returning to that if it does start to show some weakness. But with the, 4.4% move on Friday and getting a close, let's see. Yeah, above all of these highs here, I think that looks really good. But the thing that stands out to me, or something that I've noticed, is whenever, I see a big move like this, I'm like, oh, it closed above this prior high. Just making sure that's the right number. That was 1107. Yep. Closed above that high, so it's likely to continue moving. But what's probably likely to happen is that we'll see a pullback tomorrow, is what I would think. And so that would, shake out people who are buying up here, or, it would just, they wouldn't be buying at the best price. If I saw this, I was like, oh, it closed above this level. That's, confirmation it's going higher. But then we see a pullback tomorrow. I say, dang it, I made the wrong decision. Maybe I cut losses or whatever, I was wrong. But then the following day, like on Tuesday, that would be when we get like the really big move up. Because if it's just, one big move up followed by another big move up, unless it's like a squeeze or something, then it just becomes like too obvious. So I think there could be a pullback to maybe 1060 or finding these levels as support, 1075, maybe somewhere around there. So if it pulls back to around 1075, I would then just look for another close above 1107. But if it does, start to continue down, like let's say Monday it pulls back and closes at 1075, I would then look for, maybe that's a dip buy. But then if it continues lower, then it's like maybe that's time to be a little bit cautious. Although there is this 21-day moving average that might be acting as support, if it does pull back some. So you might want to look for that. But yeah, we got the 200-day moving average up here at $13 a share. So that could be a nice target. That would also be filling this gap from over here. The close from August 1st was at 1281. So I got that marked right there. Just going to make it a dashed thicker blue line. So we can see there's a nice gap there. So yeah, I feel like, this is the first time we've closed, this high since there was this gap down. So I think it could be making a move to $13. That makes a lot of sense. And maybe it would be consolidating, waiting for earnings, which looks like it's at the end of the month. So about 2 weeks from now on the 29th. But yeah, and also, you look at the RSI here, it was clearly very oversold here, lots of panic. Excuse me. And then we start to see the RSI going up, pulls back a little bit, cools off, and then it goes up some more. And then now, we've pulled back, we've cooled off, and now, I think it could go up some more. And getting into the overbought territory, getting above 70, which is currently at 63.87, there's definitely more room for the RSI to go higher. Just like, when it was here, when it was oversold, the first day it was below 30 was on August 1st when it, let's see, the RSI was 27.79. And then from there, the RSI went to 15.09. And even with that, it went lower. It hit a low in the RSI of 12.99. So just because it gets to oversold or overbought doesn't mean that it's not going to reside there for a little while. So that was, let's see, I'm just going to get a measurement from up here. It was in the, it first entered the oversold territory on July 30th, hitting 27.45. And actually, no, sorry, I lied about that. It first got into the oversold territory on July 25th. And so that was at 29.67. And then it resided below 30 or made its way down to 30, didn't really get back above 30 until, about more than 3 weeks later. And so I think that we could see, price continuing up, it being overbought for a few weeks before it starts to cool off. And with that, I could see it getting up to 13, filling that gap, and then maybe getting rejected, pulling back from there. So I think the chart looks pretty good. I'm not going to do a Fibonacci on this because I feel like it's, with all this, price action up here, I feel like it, do I draw it from here and down there or from over here? I feel like it's a little bit hand wavy, but just looking at this, there's this uptrend here. I could draw another uptrend here, also being above the 21-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, and it having just crossed the 21-day average above the 50-day moving average. So I think that looks good. I think that this does look like it could be going higher. This looks like it was a bull flag. So I think it looks really good. And so somebody is asking, so real talk, you should do whatever you want to do. You should not listen to people on the internet. I think Tilray is going down, though. I think Tilray is going down to $1.42. And so that's at least what I'm waiting for. If I get left behind, that's fine. But I'm cutting losses that I have on the calls. I just feel less convicted in it. Maybe that I'm wrong about that, and you do a contra trade. I'm a contra indicator. So maybe there's that. I've definitely say I think something's topped when it's bottomed and whatnot, or say something that it's topped and it keeps going, or say something's bottomed and it keeps going down. So, but yeah, I mean, like I'll go over Tilray in a minute. I just want to go over Path first. But I think it's like if you already have a position in Tilray, like I had one, but I feel like, I'll go over the chart, but it's like if you have a position in anything and it's like, I mean, if there's a possibility it'll go lower, you want to be ready to take advantage of that. And so maybe it doesn't go lower. So maybe it's good. Like you say, you have 700 shares. Should you go all in? I mean, I don't know what all in is for you. But especially with it being, who knows what's going to go on with this election. I think either way, states are probably going to be making advancements with cannabis. I think that will be moving forward. But I think it's quite possible there could be some unrest in the country, and that could really stir up things in the market, regardless of the sector. So 161. I would, because right now, I'll go over the chart in a minute. Yeah, because it's at 163 now, Tilray. So, I mean, you're not really getting your average down excessively. I mean, you actually be raising your average. So I feel like if you were to go in heavier, make sure you get that average down. And if that doesn't happen, there are tons of trades. Like what I've been trying to do with the channel is Nameless, who requested Path here. Last week, he requested a couple stocks that I thought, oh, well, I mean, there's, a level that I could have a stop loss at, and I feel like the price could be going up. And so it looks good, I'll do that. And so I'm managing risk with that and then just trying to partake in trades that, I'm not emotionally invested in the company. And so I don't need to worry about holding it for the rest of my life. I could just, I'm up 10%. I'll trim that. I'll close that position so I could then move into this other position, kind of rinse and repeat. So yeah. But yeah, I'll go over that chart in a minute. But yeah, so just looking at Path here, which I feel like I remember going over this during the pandemic, but I guess I have not gone over it on the channel. So yeah, I've probably got some old, actually, no, I must have gone over it at some point. I've got these retracements and stuff, but I guess I didn't go through it during the pandemic. This was April 2021. So yeah, it's kind of surprising. You must have requested this, and I just didn't add it to the DGen Ed list. But yeah, so looks like I've got this Fibonacci extension here. I'm just going to make sure the levels are connected to the right points, which actually might be a little bit approximate. I guess it did get shifted a little bit though. And yeah, then I'll just move this one to over here and lock that into place. It might be approximate, but I'm just going to lock it so it doesn't move too much. So yeah, the 1618 down here at 877. I feel like there's something, more compelling that I could do with this. Just drawing a trend line that might be acting as support. So just like connecting from the low over there into the low. I guess the low's over here. Yeah, I was hoping it'd be, like connecting to the pivot low over here. But if I just do it to this one, so that's the low of May 30th. And I'm just making sure this is lined up right over here. So it's 1040. And what's the low that I have it connected to over here? So 1040 and 1171. 1040 and 1171. Oops. So let's see, 1040, 1171. Okay, so I got those levels, and I'm just going to make this line yellow so it stands out a little bit. Make it a little bit thicker. And so, yeah, I mean, that got like a little fake out break below that level here. Another break below it. So, I mean, that's like showing some weakness there. So it's not really that significant of a level. But, price has been above it over here. So, I mean, I think it's looking good. It has gotten, some closes above the 21-day moving average. Yeah, although, I don't know, this big red candle down 6%, it's just kind of a big bearish engulfing candle. Oops, don't want to be moving the news around. But yeah, let's see. Maybe there's a trend line over here that might stand out. So that actually looks like we're under some resistance, is what I would say. I was hoping that, drawing this, it would be, showing that we're under support. And so, yeah, that's just drawing it from this low of August 5th when the market's gapped down. Pretty big down move there. And then so over here, this is the 11th of September. I feel so odd saying that date, trying to phrase it in a way that doesn't bring up so much, to all of us. But yeah, so on the 11th there, and then on August 5th, so there's a trend line there, and it does look like we've been getting rejected from those two pivot lows. So I feel like that's a little bit concerning. It's like I would want to see a close above Friday's high, which was 1281. Just because, even if price goes up tomorrow but doesn't close above 1281, that level's still just acting as resistance, uptrending resistance, being below it. And, I would think then that that's probably going to break to the downside. But if we get a close above 1281, that could be a close above this uptrend. And did I say downtrending resistance? I meant uptrending resistance, so being below that. Yeah, so I don't think this looks that good unless get a big move to the upside. If we look at, let's see, indicators down here. So, the MACD has been negative. It looks like it's about neutral on Friday. And so I'm wondering if it's going to flip green or if this is just going to be kind of flat and then it flips back to being red. I could see that happening, where it just doesn't, like here it's red and then it's just a little bit green. It doesn't really go up too much following that flip. I mean, it did from like the low here go up by over 10%, so that's pretty nice. But then from there pulled back, and now from this, it just seems like it's kind of consolidating. It needs to see a strong day, getting a higher close above like 1281. So I think that'd be pretty good. And then I'd look for like the MACD to flip positive, because then maybe it's starting to break out higher, and then this ends up acting as support. But right now we're below it, and yeah, and then like another, I'm just kind of like doing the same thing over and over, but could draw a trend line from this point, that low to that low. And yeah, it's just like, it's got this resistance up here, needs to be getting higher closes. But I think it could be pulling back to around, I have this yellow line at 1220, which, oh no, sorry, that's not the yellow line. That's the 50-day moving average at 1220. So maybe that acts as support if it does pull back, or maybe it comes down to this uptrend, these two uptrends, the yellow one and the white one, and that could be pulling back to a price of right around $12 a share. So yeah, and in trying to just, for myself, I'm just trying to get better at, if I were to get into a trade, maybe these levels hold as support if it does pull back. But what if they don't? What's the line in the sand where it's like, okay, I don't know how low it's going to go when I was wrong about the trade. Where do I get out? And so I feel like there are two levels that one could pick to be like stop loss levels. One is the low, or maybe just below the low from October 3rd, which was at a price of $11.89 marked there. Or, this low from over here, $11.66. So yeah, both of those are, pretty similar prices. But if we started to get, closes down to, $11.89, that'd be breaking below, putting in lower lows, and I would think that'd show some weakness, that it could be coming back to like 1037. So I feel like both of these levels, 1189 and then let's see, 1166, like right around, maybe in between those, maybe 1169. Have fun with it. Could be good stop loss levels, and then if those break, I'd look for a full retracement down to 1037, and then that might be a good level to buy back in, if there's a double bottom there. But then it also could be, making new lows. 1037 was the 52-week low, so good to be cautious with that. But yeah, this, I see it below resistance, so I'd be cautious about it. And I'd see about these trend lines holding as support. And yeah, like these are two, like this trend line up here, resistance, these other two trend lines, they seem to, intersect right around, I'm just going to move the cursor over so I can see, right around $12 a share. Also $12 being a whole number, psychological level. I think that if it pulls back to $12, that would be a pretty safe bet. Like this, I guess you could argue that this trend line's a little bit arbitrary there. But yeah, I could see price coming down to 12 and then having, maybe it wicks down to 11.89 though. And so maybe that's a little bit risky, but if there's a close at 11.89, I think that's like a stop loss, or especially below 11.89. If it wicks down to that, could be a dip buy. But if it definitely, if there starts to be price action around 1166 of this low from September 11th, then that's like, not only putting a lower low than right here, but also putting a lower low in there. And so I just think that doesn't look so good. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And so let's see, I've got Tilray up next, and then Real Talk's also mentioning Levi's is a good company long term. I don't like TJ Maxx because overvaluation, still bullish on Walmart. And so if you want me to go over one of those, I'll go over one, but I'll first go over Tilray. But just let me know which one you want me to go over. My understanding of Walmart, I don't have a position in any of those, but that's kind of like kind of a safe bet position, a safety position if things are going to start getting unstable, whether that's a recession, around the election, whatever, or because of global conflict. Walmart's kind of a safe bet. People will always still be going to Walmart to buy, their goods at a discount, low prices. Yeah, so I think that that's good. Levi's though, I like Levi's jeans, but I always note that they're kind of expensive. And TJ Maxx, that's, a little bit cheaper as far as I understand. So maybe that's a good one to go with. But yeah, just thinking about Tilray here, I will do a follow-up video on it after I've done the following up on, the options and stuff. And so, my view on this is, maybe I'm wrong both sides of it. Maybe I was wrong in having the stop loss at 160 as prices above 160 now. But with this wick down to 145, maybe that's substantial, maybe it's not, because it was just like within the first 10 minutes, the market was open. Kind of similar to this one that came down to 150. But, regardless of any orders being filled there, we are looking at the charts and we're seeing lower lows get formed. So I just think that it doesn't look so great. From exchanging with people in the comments, my understanding is that, there's schedule 3, I believe, or some type of approval or something getting passed regarding cannabis in December. And, just looking at this chart, and thinking about, November 15th, that's when the calls that I still hold some, but I'm just going to cut them. Probably at the start on Monday, I've got a limit order place to sell them. If it's going up in the pre-market, I might not do that, or I might adjust my sell to higher. But yeah, I mean, I was wrong in the play. It was a good lesson in managing a stop loss and checking on the unusual whales data. But, I would have been in better shape if I had just done shares, even though using unusual whales options data to inform on the trade, I think that it was too speculative as far as the chart goes and, being around earnings to be in options, just very risky gambling, as far as, doing options around earnings. And so maybe I'm just, wrong on this side. I was long before, now it's going down, or it was going down, and then now it's like, I feel like it's going to go lower. But I just find this, I have it drawn here as this parallel channel. But really what I see is, this is being a wedge that, from connecting the low from June 26th to over here, and then connecting the high from July 30th to, let's see, what's the other pivot point? The high from September 17th. To me, that just looks like a really nice falling wedge, and that it could be coming down to test the bottom of that before it really breaks out. And so, like, corresponding with November 15th, thinking like, well, if I were to hold these calls, it's just like, and I'm wrong about it, then they're like going to zero by the 15th. So price is going down. And so like by the 15th, price is right around, 140 where the cursor is, if it intersects with that downtrend. And then, going from like 140, so like, let's see, November 15th, so like right here, and then getting up to filling that gap, it's like a 40% move to the upside. So, for me, I do have a buy order, and I had it placed at 150, a small order, so I'd either make a small amount of money if it goes up from there, or, I would then, just average if it does go lower. But then I changed the order to 142 because it's like, well, if I want to get good at trading, I got to have conviction in my analysis. I've got to stick to it. And, it's like, if you've seen Breaking Bad, or I don't know if it was from the Better Call Saul, where Mike is talking about half measures, and you can't do half measures. And so to me, like $1.50 is a half measure. I want to wait for $1.42. If I'm right, I'm buying at what I view as the base of this bullish falling wedge, and I think price is going to go higher with a target of at least $2 a share. That seems very reasonable to me. But if I were to, a FOMO in, or, whatever, establish a big position now, then, I might just be holding it for a bleed for another month. And then, when it's down at 142, which I thought might go to, then I, would just be trying to get my average down. Whereas now it's like, well, I'll just wait. I've got a small buy order there. Over the course of, every week, I might grow that limit buy. And then if it does come down to 142, I get a bigger position. Maybe it comes down to 140 or 135. And I can, keep my average down. And then I've just got so much potential for the upside. Because, this big wick to the downside does look good because, it closed in the upper portion of the trading. But when we had that over here, and then it went up a little bit, and then it came down. And so, I'm just not sold on it for like thinking the bottom's in. I think that right now at 163, I feel like price will be going to $2. So, I think that at current price, money could be made on it. but that's a 20% swing versus a potential 40% swing. Or, maybe it goes up to $2, but it takes 2 months to get there. And so you wait 2 months for a 20% swing when you could wait a month, establish a position down here and hold for a month and get a 40% swing. Or, just have a low average if you want to hold it long term. So I feel like, and whenever I, start building a small position, a couple of months later, it's just like, wow, that position's a lot bigger than I had remembered just by slowly dollar cost averaging. So yeah, I think that there's some downside for it. And, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that there's some nice discounts to be had because I think that it's probably going to go up by the end of the year. Santa Claus rally, stuff like that. Hey, Benjamin, what's up? It's been a while. Let me know if you want me to go over Blink or anything else. Happy to do it. If I'm more or less caught up on the charts over here that have been requested. And I've been at work all weekend, so just kind of having a mellow night. And one of the things I've realized the past couple weeks is I only work, over the course of 2 weeks, I only work 7 days. They're 12-hour shifts. But I realized that the only days that I really have off are every other weekend on Saturday and Sunday, because like tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to wake up early for the market, So I'm not really going to sleep in until basically Saturday, because Friday I'll have off. But yeah, anyways, I'm glad it was a long weekend. A long weekend at work. But yeah, let me know what you want me to go over. Yeah, happy to go over Blink. I'll just pull up the EV charts. Man, and all I have to say is I'm sad you and I were not in EV Go, because I don't know who posted this. Somebody shared with me on the 3rd. EV Go's like breaking out or something, up over 60% on the day. Looks like it's forming a bull flag. So I think this looks really good. I'm not an EV Go. As far as the EV charging stocks goes, this is the one that, I feel like I'm less intrigued by. Although it does have, large market cap, 2.19 billion. ChargePoint is 578 million. Blink is 200 million. So I would think that Blink would have the most potential as far as upside moves, not the other way around with EV Go. It's a smaller market cap, so it can be more volatile. It's easier to move than EV Go. And so with EV Go, what happened with this? Why did it just rocket up like that? Look at this volume. And with this, big up move, consolidation here. I see these wicks to the top side that have me a little bit concerned. But what I see is the RSI goes up, it cools off. I could see it making another leg higher. So I think this could be going higher. Kind of surprised that big move was on the 3rd. What happened with ChargePoint on the 3rd? Nothing really too crazy, but it did go up following that. Then it's pulled back. Maybe a double bottom here. So maybe that's hope for the EV sector, whether ChargePoint or Blink. This is the one I'm in, so I tend to follow this one pretty closely. And then here, 3rd. Oh, this is the day after, but this has gotten nice big move. I think of these charts, ChargePoint looks the worst. I think that, EV Go looks excellent with this move, although it's how much of this move is, over? So from the lows over here to the highs, that's over 100% swing. With ChargePoint, maybe there's double bottom here. I need to adjust the levels here. It's a little cluttered, but I think I could draw an uptrend there that might suggest, supports in, something like that. But I know you asked about Blink, so I'll try to focus on that. But here from the low over here, that, from the close, up 22%, so 24% to the high. So that's looking pretty good. And, I don't usually have the moving averages up here, but we're above the 50-day as well as the 21-day. And you got the 200 up here. That's at $2.66. And I have this uptrend drawn from the low of September 9th, and the other pivot point being the low, which was also the close, from September 25th. So I got that trend line. We got one close below it over here, two closes below it, but this was, kind of putting in a spinning top, a reversal signal, potential reversal signal, and then back up here above the 21-day moving average, continuing higher. So I think that looks really good. I was going to adjust this uptrend, but, I think this was a fake out break. So I think that's a totally legit uptrend. I could add another one that would be like a secondary uptrend, a secondary level of support based on the lows there. But yeah, this one looks good to me. And, respecting that. And this is, it's not technically a rising three method, because rising three method is big green candle here followed by a few candles stepping down and then a big green candle, bullish engulfing candle. And so this looks good, although it would have been nice if it got a slightly higher close. And so I say that because we're looking at the highs over here. So the high on October 4th was $1.99. We closed at $1.99, so it's kind of like neutral. But the high from this range, from this consolidation, was $2. And also $2 closing above that on a Friday. So I'm actually going to pull up some unusual whales data. Just, I can go here for the Greeks for the looking up the max pain. So let's look up Blink max pain. This might be monthly contracts. So no, actually, it was $1.50 for last Friday, and it closed above. So I think that's looking good. What's the max pain for the monthly contract? Still $1.50. So I don't want to get your hopes up, but it looks like we could be looking at a gamma squeeze, because I think this looks bullish. Big up move, consolidation. The RSI here is 56, so still plenty of room to go higher. And yeah, I think that this could be moving. And if it's closing notably above $1.50, like $2 or $2.50 next week, I think that could trigger more upside. So I think that looks really good. Like, there was a video a while ago that I did about ChargePoint and triggering a gamma squeeze, which was, I think, right in the middle of this run up here. I think is when I put out that video. Yeah, June to July. It was around the time I went on a vacation then. And so that was because it was closing above max pain. And so let's actually look at these, all of these EV charging stocks to see maybe there's kind of a, because here at ChargePoint, moving up there. Blink was also moving up there. EVgo was also moving up there. And so ChargePoint, let's look at the max pain for ChargePoint. And so for this past Friday, it was $1, closed above it. So that's good. And then for this upcoming Friday, which is the monthly contract, it's $1.50, currently below that. But I might just do some analysis on this for myself, because I am going to clean up some of this because it's just gotten too cluttered. I don't need all these Fibonacci retracements and these trend lines. This one, I don't think it's really that significant. Well, actually, no. That one, maybe it is, because we got some wicks below it, but no closes below it. So that seems like a good level of support. Double bottom here. Maybe it's kind of a triple bottom, uptrending triple bottom. So going from the low of 123 to over here. Yeah, I think it looks like a lot of support. I think that these charging stocks, I think that ChargePoint, I think that Blink, this one looks like it's a bull flag. It looks like it's, RSI is going to start moving up again. This looks good. Blink hasn't moved as much to the upside. That just means it has more upside potential in my view. RSI is not overheated. Like over here, it's 72. It got overheated. It hit a high of 21.23 for EVgo. Had to cool off. We've gotten that with this consolidation. It's ready for the next leg up. Blink, the high in the RSI was 56.25 for these 2 days. And it's gotten a cool off. It's pulled back a little bit, but it has more room to run before RSI gets to 70. And, I think that this could be coming up to 266. I think it's looking good. These uptrending levels below it, price above it, having closed on Friday, while it would have been nice to have closed above $2, it closed above Max Pain. And Max Pain, let's see, my memory sucks. Pull up Blink here again. Max Pain was $1.50, closed above $1.50, and it's still $1.50 for this coming Friday. Then it goes to $2 though. So yeah, I think that this could be set up to run if we get, another leg up. Then it's just like, Max Pain is just increasing as price is increasing. And then that's just like a catalyst for it to keep going higher. Then this goes back down to 1. So, maybe this is looking like it could have a couple week run, like it had over here. Maybe that's a 3-week run. And so, it's already up, from the lows at 153. But yeah, I think this looks like it could be getting up to around 250. Maybe bumping into resistance around there, but then if that's closing above Max Pain, that's just going to be triggering, more buying, hedging the any calls that people have. So I think that looks really good. I think all of the EV charging stocks look like, I think that ChargePoint looks like it's formed a bottom, but I think that Blink looks like it's formed a bull flag, and I think EVgo looks like it's formed a bull flag. So I think they all look like they're going up. I think they all look good. So I feel good about it. Let's see. Oh, okay. And so I'm just going to read Benjamin's comments before I go on to what Saul requested, which is LPSN, I believe live person. I actually got out of that trade. There's a lot of odd comments on X that just made me feel uneasy about it. So I closed my position. But it was a small position anyways. But yeah, thinking about Blink. So Benjamin has, yes, please. What are your thoughts on Blink? Yes, so I've gone over it, and then Benjamin follows up. I think that a close above 224 will trigger some more upside. Yeah, I think that, let's see, 224. So what was the high on August 14th? 224. Yep. I think that right now it's just set up for some upside. And I think that it could be triggering, some pretty big moves next week. A close above 124 is this, high from over here, right around where I have 222. And yeah, when I first started making videos on it, it was, I drew this, what I thought was a falling wedge, looked like it broke out, and then it did pull back lower. So, it's funny, how I was cautious about it not breaking out and it coming down, or cautious about it breaking down here, but then it breaks out. So it's it always kind of does the I think this looks like a descending triangle. I think it's going to break lower, and it psychs you out by going higher. But then, after all of that, it ends up going lower. And so, yeah, what was the low from over here? 218. Yeah, I think getting back to the 220 range, I think there's probably going to be a good amount of resistance there because there was a good amount of consolidation here. All of these lows right around 224, 225, somewhere around there. And yeah, so where I have that line drawn at 222. So I think that there could be some resistance there, but if it starts breaking above it, so if next week's Max Pain is 150 and Blink's closing at around 225, I think that's going to trigger some more upside. And then if the following week the Max Pain is $2 and more upside is triggered, it could be getting to 250. But then at that point, after a couple more weeks of going up, I think that it might be time for it to reverse. just like, how it went up here. That only lasted so long before coming down. But I think that the momentum looks like it's behind it. I think it looks like it's going up. So yeah, I'd look for closes in the 220s next week. I think that'd look really good. So I agree with that about 224. And yeah, and really just with the momentum and thinking about like closes, Friday closes are really important because that's when options, the contracts expire. And so I don't think that there's going to be data from, the data from the 4th or from the 11th is removed from here. I could pull it up in unusual whales, but that might take a minute. But yeah, I mean, these strikes are in 50-cent increments and it closed just below $2. These are puts here. So here are calls. And so, people who are holding calls, hoping them to close in the money, they lost money on those. So yeah, I mean, I would look for moves above like into the 220s and then a close next Friday clearly above $2. Like if it's a little above $2, that's okay. But, and actually, yeah, I mean, while we're talking about, I don't know that there's going to be much information regarding Blink in unusual whales just because it's a smaller dollar share price. But if we look at this, I tend to like looking at the options volume and the 5-minute scale over here. And so what we can see, I'm just going to look at the past 14 days. And so what we can see is, yeah, price has gone up. As price has gone up, a lot of calls were bought here. And it's continued to go up. And so this is not to suggest that I think it's a good idea to buy calls or anything like that. I just think that this looks like, there was this move up, calls were bought, it's consolidated. We can see that for the time frame of this chart, so the past 14 trading days, the number of puts traded around 10,000, the number of calls traded around 70,000, $300,000 in premium traded with more than triple that in calls. And so I think that looks good. However, when it comes to, like, because with Tilray, I was looking at data like this, and the majority was on the calls side being traded, but it ended up being like, like you don't want to follow the herd of sheep, you want to follow the pack of wolves. And when it gets to options with lower dollar, like share price stocks, I think you get less wolves in them because it's like I don't do sports betting. I'm not even really big of a sports guy. But, if you have, let's say, a team that's pretty likely to win and a team that's unlikely to win and they're playing and you want to bet, of course, on the team that's more likely to win. But it's much cheaper to bet on the other team. You risk less. You go for that. But that doesn't mean that because it's cheaper, you're more than likely to make money. You're just more than likely to lose less money because you're putting less money on the table. You're more likely to lose less money. You're definitely going to lose less money, but you're definitely going to lose money because it's a team that's less likely to win. And so if you risk more money, you put it on the team that's going to win, that's going to be in your favor. And so I feel like with the cheaper stocks and looking at options, I think what happens is a lot of people where it's like, oh, I want to buy calls in Tesla or I want to buy calls in, Nvidia, but I don't have enough money to do that because they're so expensive. But, I'm interested in technology. I'm interested in renewable energy and EV stocks. Blink seems like kind of, a nice, cheaper way of doing that. But then it's not, I don't want to say that retail is dumb money or anything like that. Not like, or smart money is, retail's not smart. But I think it ends up being the less experienced traders throwing money into stuff. So that's kind of what I experienced with Tilray. I think that this chart looks good because price has gone up. Call volume is elevated. We can see, though, it's behind me, that the majority of the premium traded on Friday was more on the bearish side. So while a lot of calls traded, if I just pull up the chart for Friday, Majority of options traded on Friday were calls, 6,000 versus less than 2,000 puts. But the majority of the trades were bearish, as you can see here. And so that means a lot of these calls were being sold. And we can see that, actually, I'd have to look up specific contracts. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of stuff in unusual whales because I tend to get kind of lost in it. But what we can see here is put premiums gone up on Friday, call premiums gone down as, price has gone up and kind of flattened out. So, I don't know. This doesn't necessarily tell me anything good because I would want to see call premium go up, and stay up as price is up. But that didn't really happen. It pulled back. Sorry, just getting a little dehydrated. So I don't know. I think that these look good. Since, I do ticker requests, I got to do some requests for myself as well. I'm just going to pull up ChargePoint because I'm kind of curious about this. So, very cheap price. So I feel like there's not going to be too much good information. It does look like majority of the trades on Friday were bullish, but that's really probably just because of this one candle here. And that's a premium of $13,000. And really, what I've been finding with unusual whales is if it's like tens of thousands, it doesn't matter. It's, people on Wall Street's bets, YOLOing into something and they're going to lose all their money. If it's 100,000, it's not like a clear signal. It's not, it could be like, I like to use the, I want a killer whale. I want a blue whale, a big one, the biggest mammal, biggest animal on Earth. And so that's going to be millions of dollars. A killer whale, maybe that's 100,000. But if it's in the tens of thousands or maybe in some of the hundreds of thousands, that could just be like a manatee. It doesn't know what it's doing. It's just chewing on grass, seagrass. And so I think it's really good to think about the amount of money behind these trades. And so I'm just going to extend this back to 14 days. And so, it's just not much going on with it. Switch to the net premium here. It's probably going to show pretty similar to what we saw with a Blink. And then now I'm going to look up EVgo just kind of out of curiosity because I think this is going to be a little bit more, I don't know, they got some selling here. So majority of the trade's bearish, but that's also after it had gone up a lot, whereas ChargePoint has not yet. Here we can see, there's nothing here. This person, this is, a signal there that this is maybe a good example. What stands out as unusual with this? What stands out as unusual? I would say two things stand out to me. One is that we have all of these contracts traded. That stands out to me. But with that, we have the price going up. So this is people chasing. This is not good. We don't want to be following the herd. We want to be following the wolf pack. And so where's the wolf pack? This guy, $32,000 dollar candle premium, and then price goes up a couple days later. And so what we can see, if I don't know how to, here, I guess I can just move this like that. So actually, I'll move it like, what am I trying to do? What I want to do is just mask this stuff. Let's pretend like all of these candles are not there. And we're just looking up to, we're looking at what's going on August 1st, which I guess would be this day, right before August 2nd. October. Dates, months. We see, not a lot of contracts traded here. And then we see this big one here. And so that stands out as unusual. We go back 30 days. Yeah, that still stands out, but it's not as much. These candles are, so, but I don't know. Anyways, I think this stuff's interesting. I'm trying to learn more and utilize unusual whales more, so hopefully that's interesting, kind of helpful. But then yeah, I've got a couple of requests, and so I'll go over those. I'll add them to the dgen ed list here. Oh wait, not the dgen ed list. I want the request list. And so Saul requested LPSN, so I'll add that, and then 9 as well. Definitely do that for you, Nameless. But first, I am going to go over LPSN. And so, yeah, this is one that, I made a couple videos on it. I made one up here when it looked like it had broken out. And I'm just going to clean this chart up. I don't need all these Fibonacci's and stuff. It's just a little too cluttered. Yeah, and there's another thing, it moved up and it closed above the 200-day moving average. Like I said, I don't typically look at those. And so I saw, that as a breakout getting above this purple line, but it didn't confirm above it. It was just one day and that was the top, and then it pulled back. So it was a breakout, and I kind of called that during a live stream. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly, and I didn't expect it to pull back right after it. So I was right about the breakout, but there was no confirmation. And then, so, I drew this. The last video that I did was based on this downtrending level, and it broke out here. Clearly, that looks like a breakout. Price had gone up, but then we got this reversal candle. And so I think, what I did is I got my average down pretty low following this, or, but then, a thing that maybe it's a pet peeve of mine, or maybe I'm too sensitive, but like I put out a video here, which was based on somebody requesting it during a live stream. And I talked about how I found the chart the most compelling out of all of the charts that I was going over. And that, that was live recorded. I had never seen live person before. And then the next day this happens. And so I'm just like with this big green candle, because this was Monday, the 19th of August. And the 16th was the Friday before. So this is the last candle that I saw. And I thought it was looking like it was going to go up to this this purple line breakout. And then it happened the next day. It was pretty remarkable. Up 27.5%. The day after, because I did the live stream on Sunday, the day after I talked about, thinking that the chart looked good. And then so I bought at a pullback at around 150. I think 159, yeah, because I was expecting it to pull back and retest this level and then go higher. It pulled back, my order got filled, small position, but then it bled for like a month. And I said, I'm just going to wait until there's a bullish signal. Then I see this, I put out a video on it. Oh, but I forgot to mention like the moral of the story. After I put out the video on this, somebody was accusing me on X on copying somebody else's analysis. And it's like, somebody requested the chart, somebody requested the stock. I went over the chart and like discovered it live. There's no way that I copied somebody. I don't know what you're talking about. And also, like, if I'm analyzing live person and somebody else has done a lot of research on live person, the way to get me, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm sensitive, the way to get me to be interested in that other person's analysis is not by accusing me of copying them, but by saying, oh, hey, live person, have you heard of this other person who also does videos on stocks? I think you'd like their analysis. And then that turns me on to them. Instead, I'm accused of copying them. It's like, okay, that's weird, but okay. And then I do a video when this breaks out here. I post it on X. And then right away, multiple people are saying, hey, you copied this other person. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, I've got my analysis on the chart. Maybe it's similar to somebody else's. And then that's good. That's, you want that kind of redundancy. You want that. If multiple people, independent sources are getting the same result, that's a good thing. If I was getting something completely different, then it's like, well, maybe it's questionable. But yeah, just all these people, like, rather than saying like, hey, check out this other channel, or hey, check out this other person's analysis, just accusing me of copying. And so I just felt like that was really weird. And so I got out of my position because it made me feel uncomfortable. And I got out at break even. which I was fine with. And, I could have got out a loss. I could have got out at a profit. But what do I see here with it now? Sorry about my little rant tangent about that. But yeah, I mean, it put a really bad taste in my mouth. Covering it in the videos, like here, I'll pull it up on the screen so you guys can see it. So let's see, go to here and go to videos. I'm just going to scroll down to live person. I don't know when the last time over here, 98 views. Oops. Let's see, 98 views. So less than 100. I typically don't like to do follow-ups on videos unless I either hold the stock and I'm excited about it, or just want to do the analysis for myself, or only if, gets 100 views. And speaking of which, this video that I did on NVIDIA, I think it was the last one that I did on NVIDIA. Is that right? And I just recently did a video on shorting semiconductors, which is like, I should have gone the other direction, but I have 138 in his hand right there. So I'm out of curiosity, I'll just do it on online here. So NVIDIA stock, 135, 134, yeah. So it's gone to that target that I had in that video. And then if we look at like the 6-month time frame, yeah, it's a lot of people have been talking about this being bullish consolidation, but at the same time, if it's a lot of people, I don't know, maybe they're wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I still have my short position in SOXS that I recently kind of doubled down on because I had a position in SH, which is short the S&P 500, but it just never goes anywhere. So I just moved that money over to SOXS, which was probably a bad decision, but whatever. Anyways, LPSN. Let's think about this. It's above the 21-day moving average, so that's good. It's below the 50-day moving average, so we need to be seeing price getting above like $1.20 and closing above $1.20. And then, kind of looking at this on the shorter time frame here. Actually, I'm just, just so I kind of know that they're doodles, just going to connect, the high, those two highs there. So this high and that high. And then, from the low over here, the low from September 18th. And then actually maybe I want to adjust this to be this low. And yeah, no, I think this is fine. No closes below it. Looks like it's acted as support over here. So, I mean, this could be a, wedge. It's potentially going to be, still feel like a live person is going to be going back up to this purple line. But yeah, I mean, I just got kind of sketched out by the community. But yeah, I mean, it's downtrending here. This looks like, yeah, I mean, it was green here in the MACD where the cursor is here. And I should actually look into making my cursor bigger just so it's easier for you guys to see. But yeah, I mean, the MACD is green here. Price is just kind of consolidating. Then it turns red for one day, coming back to this level, which is really, based on... Actually, I'm too much of a perfectionist, which I think is not a good thing as far as trading goes. But, I'm just going to go from the low over here to the low over. Yeah, no. So screw that up. I don't want to be a perfectionist. I am just going to undo what I did, embrace the chaos. Yeah, so bounce from there. Got a wick below, but didn't close below it. Just an approximate trend line. I mean, really, they're all approximate. Even if you do it to the penny, the fraction of a penny, take them all with a grain of salt. But yeah, bounce there, and MACD is negative by like negative 0.0011. The histogram, which is the MACD versus the signal, and then now it was green on Friday. Now it was negative 0.001, then Friday it was positive 0.001. And so, up 8% I'd look for that to continue and to get a close above 120. Getting a close above 20 tomorrow where the cursor is here, that would potentially be getting a close above this downtrend. And then if it continues higher or maybe resides around there, that could be forming a bull flag. And then, we start to see a move up to the 200-day moving average at 137 or 140, and then getting up to around 150. So, I think this looks good. If it does start to break down, though, I've been trying to get better at this stop loss levels. I think the low from Thursday is a good stop loss level, 106 or maybe 105. And so, maybe this is, let's see. I have to pull it up on my phone so you guys won't be able to see it, but I'm just curious to see what my exit was with live person. And then let's see. I just got to scroll to find it. And that's, so just give me a second. Let's see. I think I made a very small amount of money or lost a very small amount of money. Sorry, I know this is not exciting, but okay, live person. I made a very small amount of money, 78 cents. But that's better than break even. I sold at 126. And so now we're at 117. So, what I don't have a position placed, but I'm going to write it down in my notepad. And I did do this with a couple other stocks from last week. Live person. What I find intriguing is a pullback to the 21-day moving average, which is at $1.12. So I'm thinking, and by me establishing a position, it's probably like 10 shares. I don't have a lot on the side right now, or if I do, it's to dollar cost average or to get my other positions, to dip buy for my other positions. And so, whatever I do have on the side, 112 seems like a good dip buy level, pulls back to the 21-day moving average and finds support. But then if it goes lower and it hits a new low, 106. If it goes to 106, or maybe I want to do 105. So then that's a new low over here. Because here, we got this low of 101, then a low, which is the low from September 18th, 101. And then we get a higher low on September 23rd, which was a low, actually a double bottom, 101. So there's a double bottom there. And then now this is a higher low at 106. And then if we put in a lower low, 105, stop loss, that's breaking the thesis. And then so that's risking, 112 to 105. And so I find that to be intriguing. And then, if it does go higher, then there's, potential to get out at around 137 or the 200-day moving average or this purple line. And maybe it continues to go higher, but maybe you wait, 2 months before you take that next 10% move or whatever. For me, this is a nice exercise of buy it if it pulls back to this moving average. But if it keeps going lower and it goes lower than this low, cut losses. And then that's not a big loss. And that's a good practice of using a stop loss. So I'm intrigued by this for my practice. So hopefully that's interesting. Sorry for the big ramble. But I think that live person still looks good. This is just, it's like you get a breakout and then people are like, oh, it's now going up to $2 a share. But then it fades. And then people lose conviction, like I lost conviction. They trim at either a loss or break even, which I did, making 78 cents, so it's a joke. But then now, even at 118, which is the price from the after hours on Friday, I could still be buying back my shares at a lower price than I had them before. And in that time, I gave myself a couple weeks. I sold those shares on the 4th. So that was, there's this big down move. And it's just like, community's kind of sketching me out, and I'm just going to wait for it to go up a little bit. On the 4th, the high was 128, and I sold at 126. And my average was probably 125. Or maybe it was 124. I'm not sure. But anyways, I think this still looks like it's going. I mean, this downtrend, think about this downtrend as, like this downtrend. Although I pointed this downtrend out after we had broken out. Now I'm pointing out this downtrend and we haven't yet. And maybe we get rejected from it. But if we do get rejected from it, it goes down. I think 106 is a level we don't want to cross. So I think, to me, that's a nice thesis. That's a good trade setup with risk management. And, from current price, just going up to this moving average, that's over a 10% swing to the upside. Up to the purple trend line, that's almost a 30% swing to the upside. So I think that seems great. And I think that it could be reaching those levels in the next couple of weeks. So that's a really nice trade with proper risk management, because to the downside, that's a risk of losing 10%. But, I wouldn't have a big position. Oh, and actually, and I wouldn't be buying at current price. I'd be buying here. And so that's, a 6% risk to the downside. So I think that looks like a nice setup. So, yeah, hopefully helpful. But, yeah, I'm going to switch over to 9. Sorry, Nameless, for keeping you waiting. And so I had drawn this uptrend, closed below it on Friday, so it doesn't look so good there. It's also below the 21-day moving average, and this closed lower than Thursday's low. I mean, it's also closed at the low of the day, so the low was 115. It closed at 115. It bounced a little bit in the after hours by 5 cents, by 4%. Basically, I mean, it went down 6 cents on the day, and then it bounced 5 cents in the after hours. That could be a fake out bounce. Market cap's 47 million, so it's not going to be terribly hard to move, especially in after hours. So the bounce from the after hours could be a fake out, or like to lure people in to go long. So I'd wait to see what the price action is like at open. And I mean, at this point, I could see it coming down to this red downtrend, which, what's that based on? Yeah, I mean, I think that's a clean downtrend too, based on these points over here. The low from, actually, maybe I want to clean up some of this. Like, there's the, well, let's see. Yeah, I got to clean up some of this chart. It's just a little too cluttered. Where are these levels? They're from this thing. So I'll delete that. And let's see, what doesn't seem so useful right now? This downtrend does not seem so useful. And this, what is this originating from? This one here. Yeah, I don't think we're there yet, but I mean, it's not really cluttering the chart where I'm looking. So, yeah, so I'm just going to take a step back so we can see where that, yeah, and then these other orange and yellow, I'm just going to delete those, get the clutter out of the way. And there's a gap here that has not been filled. That's the close from November 6th of 2023, close of 343, which I have marked. I'm just going to make that dashed so I know that the gap is not filled yet. Okay, and so, yeah, I just wanted to point out these two pivot points for that red downtrend. Did get a wick lower than it, but no closes below it over here. And this other pivot point was the low from June 14th of this year. Did get, breaks of it over here. Got one close technically below it on August 20th, and then clearly a close below it on the 22nd. And so I think that's like kind of showing some weakness, giving a sign that, hey, this might be going down, then there's a bounce. That's the opportunity to get out. And then it comes down here. And, why did it come down to there? I don't know. It goes up. Yeah, I mean, this is weird. And then so now, yeah, let's see. And then, why would somebody get back in here? What are the signals? I'm not sure. But then, from that, we've got this uptrend it's broken that, and that red downtrend that goes back in time. We got this kind of like little break of it here, but nothing significant. Then a notable break of it here. And now we're above that level. So I could see price coming down to it, which would be maybe coming down to like 108, maybe no, not $1 a share. This is moving by pennies. But yeah, I mean, I could see it coming down over the course of, let's just say, this week. So this is to the 18th. So just looking over the course of the next week, if it were to come down to test that red downtrend, that would be coming to a price of between 108 and 109. And so I would look for that to potentially be the bottom. And, thinking about stop loss levels and stuff, what's a level that we could look at? This low from over here, that's 110. And so maybe it gets a little bit lower than that. This is downtrending levels, and it was, resistance over here, trading below it. We'll see if it's acting as support. And so then it would have to pull back to it and test it. So I guess between 108 and 110, I would look for that to be acting as support. If it doesn't, then maybe it could be coming back to the prices over here where we have this consolidation. That's what the hell? That's also 110. Yeah, I think it could be coming down to around 110. I'll draw a different line. Let's see. 108, that was the open and close, I believe, on September 12th. So, yeah, like that range there. Maybe I just want to draw a rectangle between those two. So I could see price coming down to this range here, and I'm just gonna make that transparent, but then green. I think this is, I don't like this green. I think that's a little bit nice. Yeah, I mean, I could see price coming down into there and potentially finding support. But then if it starts closing below 8, it could just start fading down this downtrend. And then I think, it could be retesting 104. And if it, it was almost at $1 a share. And I feel like stocks that are right around $1 or just above it tend to get pushed below it. Like Luminar definitely got that, has been trading below $1 for a while. So, yeah, I mean, so hopefully that's helpful. And then, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty tired. I've been doing this for about an hour and a half. So unless there's any last minute requests, I'm probably going to sign off just because I've been working the past 3 days, 12-hour shifts, and want to be up for, the market to open tomorrow. So yeah, I'm probably going to shut this down. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out. And what I might do next Sunday, we'll see how I'm feeling. But I don't know how you guys like the live stream on Tuesday. That was a pretty lively one. I think I streamed for like 3 hours. If I were to stream on Sunday next week, I'd have work the following morning. And so I'd only be able to stream for like an hour, hour and a half at most. But Tuesday, I work. And so I don't have work on the following day, on Wednesday. And so I could probably stream for hours if people wanted me to. So if you guys would prefer, I could do and maybe I'll put out a poll on the channel if I should do a ticker request live on Sunday or Tuesday. And I'll do whatever you guys request with that. But so that's not this coming Tuesday. That's either next Sunday or not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. So maybe I do that. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna wind this down. And I'm sure all of you guys are subscribers, and I appreciate it. But if you have not liked the stream, make sure you like it, share it, let people know you guys do enjoy, tuning in for the streams for, some casual requests and some charting. And, let others know that you like the channel if you do. And, yeah, I appreciate it. It's slowly growing, but it's tough to manage it with work. But, what I'm really trying to do is, thinking about, if I'm to get into a trade, where's the line in the sand for a stop loss level? And I think LPSN, that stop loss level is 105 if it goes below 106. And I think that there's a pullback to 112 or maybe, 113 because the 21-day moving average is slightly above 112. But yeah, I mean, it could definitely wick below there. So yeah, 112. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you guys have a great start to the week, and I'll see you, in the next video.